being watched. It wasn't just a fleeting sensation, it was as if every shadow around him had eyes, and those eyes were hungry. Alex tightened his scarf against the biting cold as he approached the dimly lit platform. He checked his ticket again, though he already knew it by heart: train number 317, departing at 11:59 p.m. sharp. It was an old-fashioned locomotive with rusted edges and creaking wheels, a relic from another era, but Alex didn't care. All that mattered to him was getting home after weeks of exhausting work in the city. The station was eerily quiet for such a late hour. There were no bustling crowds or loud announcements, just the faint hum of the wind weaving through the empty benches. Even the conductor who punched his ticket seemed unusually pale, his movements slow and deliberate. But Alex shrugged it off. Fatigue often made people look ghostly. As the clock struck midnight, the train groaned into motion. Its whistle pierced the silence like a scream, sending shivers down Alex's spine. He found his seat near the window, stowed his bag overhead, and settled in. The rhythmic clatter of the tracks soon lulled him into a sense of calm. But then something caught his eye outside the window, a figure standing alone on the platform, cloaked in darkness. The figure raised its hand toward the departing train, not waving but pointing directly at Alex. Before he could react, the lights inside the cabin flickered once, twice, and then went out completely. When the lights returned moments later, Alex noticed something odd about the other passengers. They weren't talking, laughing, or doing anything remotely normal. Instead, they sat perfectly still, their faces obscured by shadows despite the overhead bulbs glowing weakly above them. Curiosity gnawed at him, so he decided to strike up a conversation. "Late-night travel, huh?" he said cheerfully to the man seated across from him. The man didn't respond. His head remained bowed, his hands clasped tightly together. Alex tried again, louder this time, but there was no reaction. Feeling uneasy, Alex glanced around the compartment. Everyone appeared frozen in place, their expressions blank, their eyes hollow. He leaned closer to the woman next to him and tapped her shoulder gently. She turned her head slowly, almost mechanically, revealing glassy, unblinking eyes that sent chills coursing through his body. "Are you okay?" Alex whispered, though deep down, he already knew the answer. Her lips parted slightly, but instead of words, a low, guttural moan escaped her throat. Panic surged within him as he scrambled back into his seat. That's when he realized the temperature inside the train had dropped significantly. Frost began creeping along the windows, forming intricate patterns that resembled claw marks. Determined to find answers, Alex stood up and moved cautiously toward the front of the train. Each step felt heavier than the last, as if invisible weights were pulling him back. The corridor stretched endlessly before him, lined with doors leading to other compartments. Through the frosted glass panels, he could see more figures sitting motionless, their silhouettes distorted and unnatural. He pushed open one of the doors and froze. Inside, a child sat alone, rocking back and forth while clutching a tattered teddy bear. Her face was deathly pale, her hair matted with dirt. When she looked up at Alex, her mouth split into a wide, unnatural grin that stretched far beyond human capability. "Help me," she croaked, her voice echoing unnaturally. "I'm lost." Alex stumbled backward, slamming the door shut behind him. His heart pounded wildly as he continued down the hallway, desperate to escape whatever nightmare he had stepped into. Finally, he reached the conductor's cabin. Surely, someone there would have answers. But when he opened the door, the scene inside stopped him dead in his tracks. The conductor lay slumped over the controls, his skin translucent, his skeletal frame visible beneath. Behind him, a foggy mirror reflected not Alex, but dozens of spectral figures crowding the corridor, all staring straight at him. A sudden jolt threw Alex off balance, and the train screeched to a halt. Outside the window, the landscape had transformed into a desolate wasteland shrouded in mist. Twisted trees loomed menacingly, their branches reaching out like bony fingers. The air smelled of decay, and an oppressive silence enveloped everything. One by one, the passengers disembarked, their movements jerky and unnatural. Alex followed reluctantly, gripping his bag tightly as if it could somehow protect him. As they gathered on the barren ground, the figures began to speak not with voices, but with thoughts that invaded his mind. "You shouldn't have boarded this train," they whispered in unison. "It only carries those who are already gone." Alex's blood ran cold. He looked down at his hands and saw they were becoming transparent. Memories flooded back: the accident on the icy road, the blinding headlights, the deafening crash. He hadn't survived. He had died that night. The train roared back to life, leaving Alex behind in the haunted wasteland. The ghosts reboarded silently, resuming their endless journey through time and space. For Alex, however, there was no escape. He was now part of the Midnight Express, doomed to ride forever alongside the souls of the departed. And somewhere, in another world, another weary traveler purchased a ticket for train number 317, unaware of the horrors awaiting them aboard the cursed locomotive.